Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. This is Have Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. Now, this video is just a continuation of the previous one where we were talking of the Cartesian plane. And because it was getting too long, I had to shorten it. So we spoke about the Cartesian plane, and then we saw that there are four quadrants. The first one being here, the second one, third, and then the fourth one, right? And then I was explaining how to plot points on the Cartesian plane. So this is a Cartesian plane over here, right? And I've labeled it nicely. Now this labeling over here is called the scale. Depending on your graph, right? Most graph books have big boxes that span 2 centimeters, you see. So we call something the scale, and I'm coming to write that over here. So for the scale, we mostly write it at the right top corner, you see, and it just shows how you have labeled your boxes with numbers. So for mine over here, I'm going to call each box 2 centimeters, you see. It depends on your measurement. So you can measure yours to know how each box, the measure of each box. So for mine here, I'm going to say for every 2 centimeters, I'm just going to use what? 1. So on the x-axis, if I move from here to here, which is 2 centimeters, it is 1 unit. You see, I'm putting 1 unit over there. Then the next 2 centimeter plus another unit in that order. You see, so I have skipped count in ones. So now that the scale is cleared, let's look at how to plot a point. Remember, we made mention of what we call the origin. So anytime you want to plot a point, you always start at the origin. So for start, let's plot the point 4, 3. Now this 4, 3 here is a coordinate. Coordinates are written in ordered pairs. That is in X and then Y, right? And always your first number would be for the y-axis. Sorry, it would be for the x-axis. Take note, your first number would always be for the x-axis, and then the second one goes for the y-axis. So from your origin, which is this point here in the middle, anytime you see a positive number, you are always going to move to the right. That is on your x-axis. The first term here, as I said, represents what? My x-axis, and it's a positive. So all it is telling me is that I should move 4 paces to the right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, now at this point over here, I'm standing here. Then it now says we should move 3 paces. That is also a positive number. So what that means is you are going to move 3 paces upward. You see, so for the positives, if it is a positive x value, you are moving to the right. If it is a positive y value, you are moving upward. So at this point that I am now, I am moving 3 pieces upward. So 1, 2, 3. You see, and it corresponds to our y over here, which is 3. Now this point here is what we call the 4, 3. You see, so the point there is where your coordinate is going to be. So I'm going to clean all this, and then on the point here, that is 4, 3, which is over here, my coordinate is going to be what? Over there. Very simple. You put a point to indicate. You see, one other easy way you can do that is this. So we know our coordinate is 4, 3, right? So we come, and then on our x-axis, we locate 4. So this is the 4 over here, you see. Then you just draw a thin line on the 4, right? So I have this thin line here on my 4. I hope you do see that. Okay. So x equals 4 has been dealt with. Then we now come to the y-axis. and that was what? That was 3. So we go to the y-axis and look for where we have our 3. This is where we have our 3 over here, you see. So the same way, you're going to draw a thin line, you see. Then you take note of where these two lines intersected. With mine over here, let's see where they intersected. They intersected over here, you see. They intersected over here, this here. So that is the point where the coordinate is. I hope you do get me. Yes, so this is basically how we locate coordinates on a Cartesian plane. You can either go direct or you can use your lines. But I do believe that as you continuously locate coordinates, it will get to a point where you wouldn't even need these lines. All you just do is to straightforward get your coordinates, right? So let me write that down, and then we locate more of these coordinates. So this here, as I said earlier on, is my 4, 3, right? Okay, so let's look at some more. So our next one we'll be looking at is to plot -2, then -1. And remember, as I said, coordinates are written in the form x, y. So you go to the x-axis, locate your first number, go to your y-axis and locate your second number, and that will be where your coordinate is. That is when you look for their point of intersection. So this is telling us that on x, we should look for -2. So this is our x-axis, and we have to look for what? -2. This is where I have my -2. So I'm going to draw a vertical line to pass through that -2. So this is what I have over here, you see. And it says on my y-axis, I should look for what? A -1. So we come to our y-axis and look at where the -1 is. You see, this is where our -1 is. So we are going to draw a horizontal line through this -1. This is it over here. You see. Then now where these 2 points intersect, which is over here, is where our coordinate is. You see. So this is where the coordinate is. And we put that label over there as what? -2, -1. That is for this point over here. Very, very simple. So identifying coordinates is not a big deal. You can do it. You see, that is if you put your mind to it. These are just the basics of what do you call it? The Cartesian plane, locating point on the Cartesian plane. So let's locate this last one, after which I'll give some exercises you can try on your own. Now, before that, you should always take note. You can be asked that, okay, so after you plotted your point, which quadrant is it on the Cartesian plane? So this here is on the first quadrant. Remember, we said this is our first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and then the fourth quadrant. So the first one we located is in the first quadrant. Then the second one is on the what? The third quadrant. Okay. So let's plot the point 0, -6. Now this can be a little bit tricky because we have the 0 here. So you can just pause and do it on your own, then come in and check. We have 0, -6. Just use the basic understanding. So we said the first one should be on your x-axis. So all it is saying is on your x-axis, locate the 0. Where do you have the 0? We have the 0 over here. And this is the line that is on the 0. Then on the 0, it says we should locate what? -6 on the y-axis. -6 on the y-axis. So this is where we have our what? -6. This is it over here. You see, this is it over here. And if you have to draw a line, just as we always do, then this will be the line for the -6. Whereas this will be the line for the 0, and they all intersect over here. You see, so this point here is your what? Your 0. That is, on x-axis it is a 0, and then on y-axis it's a negative 6. So basically, this is how we locate points on the Cartesian plane. So I'll be leaving these so that you can also try on your own. So these are the points. It says you have to plot the following points on the Cartesian plane. You have 3, 5, -4, 2, 0, -6, -2, -4, and then 5, 0. You can use a scale of your own preference, right? And make sure you take your time. Locate your x, locate your y, look at where both intersect, and that becomes the point on the Cartesian plane you are looking for. I do hope this lesson would be helpful. This is how Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. If this is your first time, you can choose to subscribe if you so do wish, and you'd always receive notification whenever I release a video. Stay blessed and see you in our next video. Bye.